Hello, Algebra 1 class. Here's your promised video. I didn't forget you. I just got a little bit running behind here. All right, this is lesson 25, solution of equations. It's actually, yes, solution of equations. There's only one solution to linear equations, which is what we're solving. We're solving equations that if you graph them, they would be a straight line, but we'll get into that later. Here's the two rules that we learned in lessons 23 and lessons 24. This one was from lesson 23, and this one was from lesson 24. When you did these problems, you just used one rule. Today we're going to combine them and use both rules to solve an equation. So the rule from lesson 21 was the same quantity can be added, and they could say subtracted, to both sides of an equation without changing the answers to the equation. And rule number 2 is every term on both sides of an equation can be multiplied or divided by the same non-zero quantity without changing the answer to the equation. So basically it's that seesaw illustration. Whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do the exact same thing on the other to keep the equation balanced. Just like on a seesaw, to keep it balanced, if you're going to add one person to one side, you have to add another person of the same weight to the other side. So here we go. These aren't that complicated, but they're very important. So example 1. Now you can see there's two things we could do. We could either subtract 5 from both sides, or to get x by itself we could divide everybody by 4, or I guess we could subtract 4x from both sides, but that won't help anything, will it? The first thing you always want to do when you're solving equations is to add or subtract the non-variable term from both sides. So this one does not have a variable, so we're going to get rid of it. We're trying to get the x all by itself, and the things keeping the x from being by itself is this 5 and this 4. They're keeping the x from being by itself. So our job is to free the x. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract the 5 from both sides, like this. And we get 4x. What happens is when we subtract the 5 from this side, we don't have the 5 anymore. But to keep the equation balanced, we had to also subtract it from the other side. So that equals 12. The x still isn't by itself, so we need to divide both sides by 4 to get the x by itself. There's really a 1 in front of it, but we don't write that, and we consider x by itself. So we get x equals 3. These are very checkable. All you do is you take this 3 and you put it back where the x is. So we get 4 times 3 plus 5 equals 17. We get 12 plus 5 equals 17, and you can see that 17 does equal 17. If you don't have a number equaling itself, then you know you got the wrong solution or you did your math wrong. Let's try another one. Okay, here we go. We can subtract. Remember, the goal is to get m by itself. We have to get rid of the 6 because it's not leaving m by itself, and we have to get rid of the negative 5. So, remember what I said, you always want to do the adding or subtracting first. So I'm going to subtract 6 because that will get rid of the 6 on this side, but we also have to subtract it on the right side. So we get negative 5m equals 2, and right away we're going to get a fractional answer. Divide both sides by negative 5 because we need to get the m by itself. Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side. And finally, we get m by itself. This negative sign right here, we don't leave it in the denominator. You can either put it up with the 2 or put it in front of the fraction. I'm going to put it up with the 2. So we're going to get negative 2/5. You can take and check that answer to make sure you're right by putting it where the m is. The 5's will cancel out, and we would get 2 plus 6 equals 8. Alright, the next one, why don't you try that one by yourself? You can pause the video, and when you're done, restart the video. Okay. Hopefully what you did was you added 4 to both sides. Like that. These cross out and give you 0, but you don't write 0 down there. Negative 7k equals negative 17. Divide both sides by negative 7. We have a negative over a negative, that would be a positive, so you get k equals 17 over 7. You can leave in algebra, you can leave numbers improper, but if you got something like 12 over, never mind. Make sure you reduce them though. This one's not reducible. You can leave them improper, but you must reduce your answers or you will miss a point. Okay, a couple more. Alright, we did that one. Hold on a second. Okay. We do have fractions in our equations. Sorry about that. So, same idea. We are going to do our adding and subtracting first. So I'm going to add a half to both sides. And of course, anytime on these videos, if you want to pause it, try the problem yourself and see if you got it right, I would highly recommend that you do that. So we get 1/5 m, and we have to find a common denominator, which isn't that hard. The common denominator would be 4. 2 times 2 would give you 4. 1 times 2 would give you 2. So we're going to get 5/4. Now hopefully you remember what you did in the last lesson, 24. If you had a fraction in front of the variable, you had to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And the 5's cross out, the 1's kind of cross out there, and you get m equals 25 over 4. Same idea, you can leave it as an improper fraction. And the last one that I'm going to show you, or I'm going to do without you trying by yourself, is one with decimals. So do your addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to add my 0.2 to both sides, and that's like 0.20. We get 0.4x equals my 4 looks really bad there, doesn't it? 0.04. Divide both sides by 0.4. Of course, you do this all in your calculator, and you would get x equals 0.1. I have 2 really easy problems for you to try. So here they are. This time I really want you to pause the video and give these a try, and then turn the video back on and see if you got it right. Okay, let's see what you got. This one's a really easy one. It was probably too easy. It doesn't have a coefficient in front of the x term. Add 5 to both sides. This is just to make you feel good. X equals 8. Now what I always do in my videos is to make sure that you watch them, I always offer extra credit. So I'll tell you something like Mr. Demai is downstairs fixing the toilet, because that's really what he's doing. I'll tell you that, and then when I give you a quiz on Thursday, on the top of your quiz you write the little hint that I just gave you, and you get an extra credit point. But I'm not going to remind you, you just have to remember to write on your quiz, Mr. Demai is downstairs fixing the toilet, and you'll get either 1 or 2 extra credit points depending on how badly everyone needs extra credit points. Okay, hopefully you tried number 2 as well, so here we go. This one you do your addition and subtraction first. So you get 2x equals, hopefully I did that right, equals 8. Divide both sides by 2, and you get x equals 4. Of course, if you need any help with these, we'll go over all this in class on Thursday. So that is it for lesson 25.